We're now going to look at a sampling question which involves estimating the actual number of a type of animal living in an area. So for example, let's say you are a wildlife expert and you want to estimate the actual number of frogs that there are living in a pond. What you would do is you would take a sample of frogs, so you would catch a sample of frogs and you would put a mark on each of them. You would then count how many you've put a mark on, and that would be the actual population size for the marked frogs. That would be the actual number of marked frogs. You would then release all of those frogs back into the wild again, and a short time later you would then catch another sample of frogs. You would then count how many frogs in that sample have a mark on them, and by working with the marked group and applying the sampling formula, you will be able to work out the actual number of frogs that are living in the pond. So if we take a look at this question, we're not talking about frogs here, it's actually talking about rabbits here. So it says, in a forest, the warden wishes to estimate the number of rabbits. So they want to work out how many rabbits are actually living in this forest. So he catches and marks 140 rabbits and releases them again. So what you'll notice here, this 140 are the number of rabbits that have got a mark on them. In other words, this is the population size for the marked rabbits. This is the actual number of rabbits that have a mark on them. The next day, he then catches 80 rabbits. So this is the sample that he takes the next day. So he takes a sample of 80 rabbits the next day. So that's the sample size. And then he finds that 23 of the marked rabbits are amongst those. So this here is the sample size of the marked rabbits group. And then it says estimate the number of rabbits in the forest. So when it's a type of question like this where animals are marked, you always start with the marked group. So I'm just going to put a little title, marked group. And then the sampling formula will apply to each group. So it will apply to this group. So the sample size of that group divided by the overall sample size, that's equal to the population size of the group divided by the overall population size. Now, we want to get an estimate for the actual number of rabbits in the forest. So that's what PS is, the actual population size, the overall population size of rabbits. PSG is the actual population size for the marked group. Now, as I said at the beginning, this warden catches and marks 140 rabbits. So that's the actual population size of marked rabbits. So it's 140. That's the actual number of rabbits that have a mark on their back. We want the overall population size of rabbits. So SS is the overall sample size, so that's this sentence here. The next day he catches 80 rabbits, so he catches a sample of 80 rabbits. So SS is the sample size that he catches. And SSG is the sample size of the group. So we're talking about the sample size for marked rabbits. So he discovers that in his sample of 80, he finds that the sample size for rabbits that are marked is just 23. So SSG, the sample size for the rabbits that are marked is 23. Now, that's the hardest bit, getting set up. As I keep repeating, you have to start with the marked group. Write down the sampling formula that applies to the marked group, and you will always know 3 out of the 4 quantities. You will always be looking for the actual population size of all the animals or all the rabbits in the forest. So the rest is easy maths, just sub in the values and then we're going to cross multiply. So we've got 23 over 80, that's equal to 140 over PS, the overall population size of rabbits in the forest. So we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to get 23 PS, and that's equal to 140 multiplied by 80. So that's going to give us 11,200. And then divide both sides by the coefficient of PS. So divide 11,200 by 23 and then hit SD. So we're going to get PS is going to be about 486.956. So obviously it didn't work out a whole number, but that's fine. We can round up the nearest whole number. So approximately there is 487 rabbits in the forest. So answer, there are approximately 487 rabbits in the forest. So look out for that. That's a typical exam type question where you use sampling to estimate the actual population of a certain species of animal in an environment. Okay, always work with the marked group. Write down the sampling formula for the marked group. You'll always be looking for PS, the overall population size. You should be able to identify what the other three quantities actually are. Cross multiply and get answer.